Hello, Parsippany parents. My name is Anthony Vlahakes. I'm a math specialist at Littleton Elementary School, and I am going to teach you how to use partial quotients. So, when we are using partial quotients, this is something that's probably foreign to you because we didn't grow up learning it. Like myself, I did not grow up learning it. And for fourth grade, division is a very different concept than any other math concept that has been given up until this point. So, if you are like me and grew up going to school and learning division, you probably just learned the standard way to do division. Like if it was 558 divided by 6, we basically looked at how many place values, looked to see how many times it can go in, and put the number above where you're going. So this would be 9 minus 54. Bring down a 1 because that's what was left over. Whoops. Bring down a 1, bring down the rest. And how many times is 6 going to 18? 3, and your answer is 93. No remainder. The standard method. Okay. What the partial quotient method allows us to do is for somebody who's a beginner at this, it allows them to actually make a mistake and still not get the answer wrong. If we're using the standard algorithm here, you would have to know that it goes in 9 times and do it that exact amount of times. And if you got the wrong problem and didn't realize it, you'd have to basically do the whole problem over again. So I'm going to pick a random number, let's say 972 is my divided by 7. Okay, so I'm going to use partial quotients here. I may have a remainder, I may not, and we'll basically walk you through how this works. So when we are actually dividing, and in the original problem, we're saying 6 times 9, but really it's 6 times 90, and we're just not writing the 0 down. When you are using partial quotients, you're actually using the place value in which you're starting. So if I'm looking at 972, I have 3 possible place values that my answer could be in. And my first number is larger than what I'm dividing by, so it will go in 100 times. So that's where I'm going to start. So the first thing I'm going to do, 7 times 100. Okay, and then subtract 700. Right, and then whatever's left over is what I'm bringing down. So I have 27, or 272, and then I realize I can't go in that many times. So here's where I'm actually going to not go in the correct amount of times to kind of show you how if your son or daughter makes a mistake, it's not a big deal. So we have, I'm going to say 7 times 20. All right. So now I'm multiplying by the tens. Here I've multiplied by the hundreds, and I'm going to subtract 140. So if you notice what happens here, and this is especially if your child does not know all their multiplication facts, this actually helps them because they realize that they can use a different method to get their answer. Oops. So my leftover is going to be 132. Now here, if I was doing the standard way, I would have had more left over. I had a higher remainder than what I'm dividing by. So either I would have realized that was a mistake or kept going forward and then realized at the end my answer wasn't correct or put the wrong number in the ones place, and then had to redo the problem. So here I made a mistake on purpose, and that means, this is still greater than 70, so I can put another 10 in. So 7 times 10 would be 70. All right, and then I'm subtracting Okay, so now I have 62 left over. Okay, so now I have to go in by the 1. So right here is what I've done so far. And now let's say that I'm not good at my multiplications, but I know this is going to be pretty high. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to do 7 times 5 because I know my 5 times tables. And now I'll subtract 35. All right. So this will be, right, regroup. 12 minus 5 is 7. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then 27. So now I could say, oh, I know 7 times 3 is going to be 21. Right, and then I'm going to have a leftover 6. 6 is less than what I'm divided by, so that's going to be my remainder. So here is how we find our answer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all these numbers that I multiply by 7 and add them up. And I will have hundreds, tens, and ones. So it's going to be 100 plus 20 plus 10 plus 5 plus 3 and a remainder of 6. So it would be 138. 138, right? Because 100 plus 20 is 120, plus 10 is 130, plus 5 would be 135, plus 3 would be 138. And my remainder is 6. So my answer would be 138 remainder 6. So that is using partial quotients. The good thing, again, like I said, is especially if your child does not know all their multiplication facts or is having a hard time with division concepts, this conceptually will allow them to make a mistake and correct it as they go along and realize, oh, I can go in another 10 or I can go in another couple of times with that number to get the correct answer. So hopefully this helped, and good luck.